An inverse function goes the other way. Let us start with an example. Here we have the function f of x equals 2x plus 3, written as a flow diagram. Meron ako ditong x at imumultiply natin yan by 2. So we have 2x. After that, we will add 3. Then we have 2x plus 3. The inverse function goes the other way. Una, meron tayong y. Since kanina nag-add tayo, ngayon magsusubtract muna tayo ng 3. Kaya siya naging y minus 3. After that, ang kabaligtaran ng multiplication ay division. So we will divide by 2. So we have y minus 3 over 2. So ang inverse function of 2x plus 3 is y minus 3 over 2. The inverse is usually shown by putting a little negative 1 after the function name, like this. We say f inverse of y. So, the inverse of f of x equals 2x plus 3 is written f inverse of y equals y minus 3 over 2. I also use y instead of x to show that we are using a different value. Back to where we started. The cool thing about the inverse is that it should give us back the original value. When the function turns the apple into a banana, then the inverse function turns the banana back to the apple. So dito meron tayong 4 na process na kailangan sundin para mahanap natin yung inverse ng given function. So una, replace natin yung f of x by y. Pangalawa, interchange x and y. Pangatlo, solve for y in terms of x. And last but not least, replace y by f inverse of x. Okay? So dito meron tayong first given. So we have f of x equals x minus 4. So isulat muna natin yung first step. No, we have to follow the 4-step. First is to replace. So kahit hindi na pala natin isulat yan, no? Nandito naman. So guide na lang natin. So yung first is to replace f of x by y. So ito yung f of x natin. Papalitan natin yan ng y. So meron tayo ditong y equals x minus 4. Okay, that is the first step. Palitan yung f of x ng y. Pangalawang step is to interchange x and y. So ito, pagpapalitan natin yung y at saka yung x natin. So we have x equals y minus 4. The third one, or the third step, is to solve for y in terms of x. So para ma-solve natin yung y dito, we will add both sides by 4. Okay? Then we cancel this out. Ang matitira dito is y equals x plus 4. Okay, na-solve na natin yung y. Then last step, okay, the last step would be, i-replace natin yung y by f inverse of x. So itong y na to, papalitan lang natin ng f inverse of x. So we have x plus 4 equals f inverse of x. And there you go. You have your final answer in this case. So pwede rin natin isulat yan ng baliktad, no? F inverse of x is equal to x plus 4. And this gonna be your final answer in this case. Okay? So ang inverse ng f of x equals x minus 4 is x plus 4. Okay? So that is the first example. Through is 3, 2, 1. For our example number 2, we will use the same process. Okay? Let us practice g of x equals negative x plus 4. So the first process, so let me write the first process here. So we will replace f of x by y. So in this case, g of x ang ginamit natin. Palitan lang natin yan ng f of x. So papalitan natin tong g of x actually ng y. So meron tayong y equals negative x plus 4. Okay? The second step, Okay, the second step is to interchange x and y. Pagpalitan natin tong x and y. So, kung ito ay y, magiging x yan. Kung ito ay x, magiging y yan. So, we have negative y plus 4 dun sa right-hand side natin. Ngayon, we will solve for the y. So, solve for y in terms of x. So, solve lang natin ng y dito. We will, for us to isolate the y, magsusubtract tayo ng 4 both sides. So, we cancel this. Then, the remaining would be negative y in this right-hand side, x minus 4. So, sulat natin yan dito x minus 4. So, hindi pa tapos yan, no? We have to eliminate the negative sign here. So, we divide both sides by negative 1. Okay? Since may 1 dyan, we can cancel them out. So, the remaining would be y equals x minus 4 over negative 1. So, we're not done yet. Okay? So, our last step would be to replace y by f inverse of x. So, we have f inverse of x. Sorry, isulat natin na maayos. F inverse of x equals x minus 4 over negative 1. Okay? And this should be your final answer in this case. So the inverse function of negative x plus 4 is x minus 4 over negative 1. And for our example number 3, we have f of x equals 2x plus 1 over x. Once again, we will follow this for a simple process. So for our first process, replace f of x by y. So we have y equals 2x plus 1 over x. Second process, step number 2 is interchange x and y. So we have x equals, itong 2x magiging 2y yan, plus 1 over y. In denominator na x, magiging y din yan. Step 3, solve for y in terms of x. So for us to solve the y, so we will divide this x to 1 at magka-cross multiply tayo. So y times x, so we have y x here equals 1 times 2y plus 1. So same lang yan, 2y plus 1. Okay? So at isi-solve na natin yung y dito. First is for us to solve the y, so ilipat natin sa kabila or mag-subtract tayo ng negative 2y both sides. Okay? So para magkaroon tayo ng yx minus 2y equals 1. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin dito, ilalabas natin si y sa equation. So, meron tayong common factor nila, si y. Ang matitira sa loob ng parenthesis ay x because y times x is yx minus 2 equals 1. So, we're not done yet. Kailangan natin i-solve si y. So, isulat ko muna yan dito. Y times x minus 2 equals 1. Para ma-isolate natin si y dito, we will divide both sides by x minus 2. Then we cancel this out. Then the remaining would be y equals 1 over x minus 2. And for our last and final step, itong y na to, papalitan lang natin yan ng f inverse of x equals 1 over x minus 2. And this is gonna be your final answer in this case. The inverse of 2x plus 1 over x is equal to f inverse of x equals 1 over x minus 2. So in this example number 4, we have x squared minus 2x plus 1. So our first step in this case is to replace f of x by y. So we have y equals x squared minus 2x plus 1. Then, second step is to interchange x and y. We have x equals this x squared become y squared minus 2y plus 1. The third step is to solve for y in terms of x. So, para magawa natin yun, factor natin itong trinomial na to. So, we have y minus 1 times y minus 1. Okay? So, another another thing is, this one is a perfect square binomial. So we can write it as y minus 1 quantity squared. Since magkamukha naman sila, pwede natin silang pag-isahin at lagyan ng square dito. And we have x. Okay? So we're not done yet. We have to solve for y for step number 3. So for us to solve for y, kailangan natin ma-eliminate tong squared na yan, no? For us to eliminate, square root both sides. Okay? Kung ginawa mo sa kabila, gagawin mo rin syempre sa kabila. So, itong square na to, makakancel yung square root. And then, we have y minus 1 remaining here dun sa right-hand side natin. And dun sa left-hand side, we have square root of x. Teka. So, nag-square tayo dito, no? Both sides. So, there should be two possible answers in this case. Okay? From the square root principle. Now, dito, para ma-isolate natin si y, we have to add both sides by 1. Okay? Then, we cancel this 1. So, ang remaining would be, like ko dito ha, y equals positive or negative square root of x plus 1. Okay. So, I want you to notice this given na may positive or negative square root of x. So, there should be two possible answers in this case. If in case, no, nag-plug in tayo ng x equals 4, pwedeng ang sagot natin ay mayroon tayong y equals 3 o kaya naman y equals 2. So, hindi yun pwede dito. Okay? So, hindi yan pwede dyan. So, therefore, kapag meron kasi tayong 2 or more answers in this case, the possible answer in this particular given ay wala tayong inverse. Okay? So, no inverse function in this particular function. Wala siyang inverse function. Okay? So, that's gonna be your final answer in this particular given. For our example number 5, we need to find the domain and range of the inverse function. So first, kailangan muna natin makuha yung inverse function nito bago natin i-apply or hanapin yung domain and range ng given natin dito. So, here we have the first step. The first step is to replace f of x by y. We have y equals x plus 10 over x minus 5. Second step, interchange natin sa x and y. We have x equals, dito yung x magiging y plus 10. Sa denominator, yung x minus 5 magiging y minus 5. Okay? Step 3. Step 3, we need to solve for y in terms of x. So, solve na natin yung y in terms of x. Dito, magkakaroon tayo ng denominator na 1. Then, cross multiply. So, y minus 5 times x, we have x times y minus 5 equals 1 times y plus 10 is y plus 10. Okay? So, ngayon, ang gagawin natin dito, i-distribute muna natin sa x sa loob ng parenthesis. So, we have x times y, we have x, y. X times negative 5, we have negative 5x. Okay? Equals y plus 10. Sa step number 3 natin, kailangan nating mahanap yung y. Right? So, para magawa yun, i-replace na natin to. Palitan natin tong, si y, ilipat natin sa left side. Si negative 5x, ilipat natin sa right side. So, we have x, y, minus y, kasi dito positive siya. Ngayon, magiging negative siya dito sa left-hand side natin. Si negative 5x, pag nilipat sa kabila, magiging positive 5x plus 10. And, nakita natin dito, common si y, di ba? So, ilalabas natin si y. At yung may iwan sa loob ng parenthesis is si x minus 1. Okay? For you to check, y times x is xy. Y times negative 1 is negative y. Equals 5x plus 10. At hindi na kasya sa baba, no? Dito natin ituloy ang ating solution. So, we have y, copyahin ko lang muna, y times y, x plus x minus 1 equals 5x plus 10. Okay? Ang goal sa step number 3 is to solve for the y. Okay? For us to isolate y, we have to divide. We have to divide x minus 1 from both sides. Okay? Then we cancel this out. The remaining would be y equals 5x plus 10 all over x minus 1. And for our last and final step, okay, step number 4, replace natin si y by f inverse of f inverse of x. So this is gonna be 5x plus 10 over x minus 1. And this should be the inverse function. Okay? So kung mahanap nyo na po yung inverse function dito, no? Ang next thing na gagawin natin is to find the domain. So in this part, since nahanap na natin yung inverse nitong given na to, so ito yon 5x plus 10 over x minus 1, solve na natin yung domain natin dito. So in this case, ang gagamitin na natin yung inverse na. No? So let us find out the domain. There are two simple steps to find the domain, right? So first is we set the denominator not equal to 0. Okay? So dito meron tayong denominator na x minus 1. So meron tayong x minus 1 dito. So not equal to 0. Then our x should be not equal to positive 1. So basic step, no? Meron na tayong two step dyan. Ang domain natin is x not equal to 1. Now, let's talk about the range. So, sa range naman, dito meron tayong range. Okay? Ang range natin, meron lang iilang steps din, no? First step is, okay, replace natin si f of x kay y. So, replace natin, ibuhin lang natin ha, replace f of x with y. So, in this case, gagamitin natin yung f inverse, right? So, meron tayong y equals 5x plus 10 over x minus 1. Ito na yung ginamit ko dyan. Next is to solve for y. Okay, so solve na natin for, by the way, hindi pala solve for y. Solve for x dito, no? So, dito meron tayong denominator na 1, then cross multiply. So, we have x minus 1, ito yung second step, times y equals 5x plus 10. Okay? So, dito, i-distribute natin si x minus 1 kay y. So, we have x times y is xy. Negative 1 times y is negative y equals 5x plus 10. Okay? Ang goal dito sa step 2 is ma-solve natin yung value ng x. So, para magawa natin yon, ipagpalitin natin sila, no? So, meron tayong xy minus 5x equals y, positive y plus 10. Okay? So, ilabas natin ang common factor dito si x, right? So, we have x, ang may iwan sa loob, si y, minus 5. Okay? Equals y plus 10. Okay? So, divide both sides by y minus 5. Okay? Y minus 5. Para ma-eliminate natin dito si y minus 5. At maiwan si x. Okay? So, in this case, we have x equals y plus 10 all over y minus 5. Then, we have the value of x. Okay? So, hindi pa tapos yan. Yung step 3 natin, after natin magawa yan, kailangan natin mag-set ng denominator not equal to 0. Okay? So, meron tayong y minus 5 not equal to 0. Then, y is not equal to positive 5. So, that should be our range in this case. So, we have the domain of not equal to 1 and the range not equal to 5. Okay? So, reviewing natin ang process, no? First, find the inverse function sa given na to. Pangalawa, dun nyo nahanapin o dun nyo gamitin nyo na inverse function na yun para makuha natin yung domain at saka yung range. Just follow the simple step na tinuro ko dun sa rational function at makukuha nyo po yung domain and range dun. Okay? And that concludes our discussion for inverse function. We continue this lesson in the next part of this video.